there, it's Jane. Thanks so much for stopping by. I'm going to be making some home decor pieces today with Gina K Designs Mega Wreath Builder and the Memory Misti. I hope you enjoy them. The finished projects are around 8.5, 8-inch square, really depending on how much matting I put around it. Now I'm starting out with the Memory Misti, and this is about 12 by 12. It's quite large. And Gina K Designs has the Mega Wreath Builder that fits right into this Memory Misti. Here's a couple of the home decor pieces that I have made to show you. And I also use some foil mates, which I will link to a video below. So if you've never used Gina K's foil mates, it will show you how to use it. Gina K Designs has these mega designs that are already pre-printed. They come in brights and neutrals. And you can also print them out yourself at home. I purchased them already made because at the time I did not have a color printer. But I think if you have a color printer, you can print them out yourself. And they're very fun to make. And the Mega Wreath Builder is also a very cool way to make cards. She has the Mega Wreath Builder, and there's also the regular Wreath Builder, which I will link to in the products. So this is the home and the neutrals. And as I said, I'm going to link the Foil Mates video below. So I'm going to be using the Gina K Have Faith stamp set. And I am going to show you how to set this all up in the Misti. So what I do here is I take the very bottom layer, I guess you want to call it, outside layer, and I tape it down to my Misti. Now for the purposes of the video, I put it on the large mouse pad that's underneath so that you could see it. But typically I would have the white paper underneath it to catch any ink overflow or anything like that. So these, you can use different size cardstocks. I'm going to be using the largest one, which is 7.5 inches square. And the cool thing about this is that you can layer it all together so you can get the center of your project, whether it be a card or a piece of home decor. And they have given you all of the pieces there so that you can find the center of your project. So as I said, I cut this to 7.5 inches square, and I'm going to take it all apart and show you where this will go. And the Wreath Builder is very fun because it helps you get all of your images stamped in symmetrical. They're very symmetrical. So I'm putting this down, and I put all the pieces around it, and now I'm laying in the centers to see where is the center of my image, of my home decor piece that I'm making right now. I'm going to be using this particular sentiment. I tape down the corner of my cardstock, as you can see, so it doesn't move. And you see how the brilliant idea of that circle to make sure that it's in the center. And now I'm lining it up with my T-ruler just to make sure it's straight. Since I've never used this stamp set before, I'm going to rub it with my microfiber cloth. That kind of gets the shine off of it so that the ink adheres a little bit better. And I'm going to be using my Gina K black amalgam ink, which I really love. I'm going to double stamp this because I wanted a really good dark impression. And the Memory Misti is really, really big, so I couldn't zoom in as much as I'd like to on this video. I'm sorry about that, but it's really big. And I love it. You can do all kinds of things with it. So now I'm lining up where do I want my stamp to be. So I'm trying to get an idea. I'm looking at the one I'd previously made, and I'm trying to replicate that. You can see this one has the big center in the middle, and the flowers kind of hang off the edge. And I did not want the flowers to hang off the edge of this particular one. So I'm stamping it in there, and I'm getting an idea of where I want it to be. So I'm going to be starting with Gina K Designs Wild Dandelion ink, and I'm going to be stamping the sunflower. I stamp it, I pick it up, I turn it 1/8 of a turn, put down my magnet, stamp it again. And I'm going to continue this till I completely go around the wreath builder so that I will end up with 8 sunflowers. Actually, you'll end up with 8 of pretty much everything. So it just really makes everything nice and even for you, as you can see. So here are the 8 sunflowers that I have going on. So now I'm trying to figure out what leaves do I want to use for my wreath builder. I have quite a few stamp sets with leaves. So this is going to look like a hot mess when I'm done. I got this idea from Jennifer McGuire on how to do this. And I'm just laying out my leaves, trying to figure out where I want them, how close do I want them to my center sentiment. And actually, in my humble opinion, when this is all finished, I think the leaves are a little too close. And if I was to do this one again, I would kind of pull them out a little bit more, but I do like the way they worked out. So I'm using Gina K Designs Key Lime ink, and I laid out my leaves, closed my Misti door on top of them to grab them. Oh, my bar's in the way. Move that out of the way. And I'm going to be stamping my leaves. And again, I'm going to turn it 1/8 of a turn and then stamp it again until I've gone completely around and I have these leaves on all of the 8 sunflowers that I had stamped earlier. I do like quite a few leaves, so I'm going to be going through my stash. These are my favorite things, Sketchy Flowers. I do not know if these stamp sets are still available. You can check out the websites and see. W+9 Feathers and Flowers. And if I know I'm going to be using the same color ink, so I'm not doing this 15 times, I kind of lay out my stamps and see, and kind of spread them out just a little bit. As you can see, I have 3 right here. I will close my Misti door on those with using the Pink Fresh Olive ink, and I will stamp these and again go around 8 times. Turn it 1/8 of a turn, and I'll be stamping it all around. And as you can see, it's starting to look like a complete hot mess. These are my favorite things, Beautiful Blooms, and I love these because they're like wispy. And when you're stamping these, I don't know if you can see that really long stem. Just make sure you don't stamp past where it goes in the center of the flower. You're really not stamping the whole thing, you're just stamping where the leaf is. And I'm only putting these in the corners because there's no reason to put them on the other edges because it'll stick, you won't even see it. But I felt that the corners needed a little bit more greenery since I really was crowding in the center of this particular flower. And now I'm adding another wispy one in the corner, and as you can see, I do like a lot of leaves, and it does look absolutely terrible right now, doesn't it? I think it does anyway. Getting those last couple in those corners there, and there we are. That is the completed background for our 7.5-inch square home decor piece. Now I'm getting out my Mini Misti. My Mistis are in terrible shape and they need clean. They are very well loved. I have found some scrap cardstock. I keep all my cardstock, and I'm going to be scrapping. I'm going to be stamping all of these 8 sunflowers with the same Wild Dandelion ink, and I'm going to stamp this 8 times on my scrap cardstock. And I will be taking my Sweet Mango ink with a dauber, and I'm going to just put the ink on the dauber, and I'm just going to lightly tap the edges, inside edges of that sunflower, and I'm going to stamp it so I can get a 2-tone look. It almost looks like it was a layered stamp. So I cut 8 of those out, and then I have these Gina K foil mates, and as I said, I will link to the video below. And they have some great foil, and they actually match this graphic sunflower stamp set. But we're not going to be doing that one today. I will show you what that one looks like in a second. But the blue cardstock, there is a template of the die set. Gina likes very little white around her stamps. And so sometimes it's hard to line up your die to see. So you cut a template. Then you take your template and you put it on top of your image, and you tape that down with some low tack tape. And then you take your die and it will fit right inside there like a puzzle. You'll feel it kind of shift it around and move, and you tape it down and you run that through your die cut machine. I'm using the Gemini Junior, which I absolutely love. And there is a image with a perfect die cut around it with the even amount of white all around it. So I have done all 8 of these, and then I'm going to go ahead and stamp the centers of these. I'm going to be using Pink Fresh Gathered Twigs ink here. It's one of my favorite browns. And I'm just going to be putting these on an acrylic block and stamping these 8 times, cutting them out with the circle die that comes with it. And I will make the same template idea that I did with the sunflowers themselves. And I'm going to become stamping out 2 different designs, 4 of each. And there's my template, taping it to the back as well because it's kind of small. And then putting my circle in there. Didn't put enough tape on there, as you can see. I need to do it again. It's okay to do it again. That's why the purple tape is so awesome, because you doesn't rip everything up when you're using it. It's such a low tack tape. Fits right in there, and I'm going to cut 8 of those out as well. So here's my 8 sunflowers, and here are my 8 centers. I'm going to be popping the centers up with some squares. I think I got these from Stampin' Up! A very long time ago, but 3 of them fit perfectly on the back. But you can use one big square or some 3M tape. It'll all work just the same. And I'm going to be popping those up on the centers of all of my sunflowers. That's why when I had the overstamping in the center, it didn't matter, because I knew I was going to be putting a center on there. So I'm using liquid glue on the sunflowers because I want to be able to move them around a little bit, and liquid glue gives you the opportunity to move. And I love Lawn Fawn glue. It never clogs and it goes out so smooth. So I'm just kind of lining that over what I already previously stamped. Sorry about the head. And it gives me an opportunity, the liquid glue, just to move it a little bit. And there are my 8 sunflowers with my 8 centers. Now these jewels are pretty pink posh espresso jewels, and I will link everything in my blog post, so please go ahead to the positivelyjane.net and I will have the link down below for you. And I'm putting one big jewel in the center of each of these flowers. I love my Crystal Catania, and I love my little beadsmith tray. I just love it. And then I have the little things lemon mix, and I'm just going to be putting some little dabs of Lawn Fawn glue just periodically around and trying to figure out where I'd like to add a few jewels. Not very many, just a few. So I'm also going to attach the video for this. This is how I swatch my cardstock, and I have a video about this. And so now I want to matte this. So I'm trying to figure out, well, what color do I want? Well, yellow would be good, but I felt like it was just a little too bright. There's already so much yellow. So let me go with the greens. And let's see which one I want. This is so much easier than going and trying to find all my cardstock and figuring it out. So I just get this, I hold it up, and I think, oh, that's a really good color. So which one's that? That is Jelly Bean Green by Gina K. And one of the reasons why it matches so nice is I probably use that ink on some of the flowers. So the one on the left is the one we just made. The one on the right I made with different leaves, and I used the Gina K foil mates. I also made this one previously, and that is one of the Gina K home decor pieces, which I'm going to be using right now. Unfortunately, my camera was not on, but I did the exact same thing. I got this particular one already had the home decor piece, was already printed, and I'll link that down below on how that works. I laid out my flower, stamped it 8 times, laid out my leaves, and now I'm stamping some more leaves. I'm using a Paper Tray Ink Doodle Doo stamp and die set. I love the open work of all of these stamps. You can color, stamp them in black and color them, but I decided to use some blue and green ink here. And I just think the color just really adds a lot to it without making it feel a little heavy. But it really depends on you. I just wanted to show you all the different things that you could do with these stamps and dies, and really what you could do with the Mega Wreath Builder. And again, I'm using the biggest size. I'm not really sure what the other sizes are. I think there might be a 6, maybe a 5.5. But you can do it however you want to do it. So I use the Stamp Market Navy ink. I love Stamp Market ink, Gina Key Lime, and the Pink Fresh Olive ink on this particular home decor piece. And as I said, so do not worry about tomorrow. That was already printed by Gina K. I did order it on her website, and I will link all of that for you. So now I'm adding a few more leaves. I felt that I needed a few more. And now what I'm doing is I am taking scrap cardstock again, and I am stamping the flower with the navy ink. And I need 8 of them. I'm going to be coloring these, so whenever I'm coloring anything, I like to always stamp a few more extra. Even if I don't use them, that's okay. But what happens is I end up stamping, cleaning it, putting it away, then having to stamp it again. So I just stamp extras and file them away for a future date. When I misstamp something, I put a pencil through it so I don't waste time coloring it or cutting it out, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh gosh, there's a boo-boo there. So I just keep on going. I stamp in my Misti because I call it a mouse pad. That black foam piece behind really helps with really great crisp images. And the Memory Misti is great for that too. You can almost use it as a work surface and do all kinds of stamping on that. And I will have a video on that on a future date, but right now we're just focusing on this. All right, so after I have all of my flowers stamped, I'm going to get my Copic markers out and I'm going to color them. And I did a test color, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. I decided I did not like it, so I'm going with these. These are R24 and R27 Copics. I am not a Copic color master. So I'm just starting out with my R24, and then I'm going to go through back with my R29 and kind of highlight where the base of the flower meets, just with some outward strokes. And then I will go back with my R24 and blend all of that out. And I'm trying to focus my camera so that you can see a little bit better. You can see I'm not a Copic expert. But now I'm going back with my R24 and filling it in, and it gives it just enough contrast that I'm a happy person and it looks like I'm a coloring expert, and my friends have no idea. They think I'm really good. So that one on the right is the one I originally stamped and colored, and I didn't like it. It was too much green. So I have decided to go with the one with the red and the navy blue. I think it came out really good. It's very similar to that. So I am going to pop all of these up with some 3M tape on the backs of all of these flowers. And I'm just going to, you can see, make sure you cover the whole flower. Look how much different it looks when you don't have all of those leaves hanging away. So I was able to get about three rows of tape here. And then I'm going to do all 8 of them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some liquid glue on all of them, because that gives me an opportunity to move them around just a tad, because I want to make sure that they're covering up what's underneath. Again, I'm taking out my cardstock, trying to figure out what colors do I want. These flowers are hanging off the edge, so the best way I do is I have these great Teflon scissors, and nothing sticks to them. So from the back, I'm just using the actual cardstock as a template, and I'm cutting them out off actually. So now I'm trying to decide, do I want red up close or do I want blue up close? Now I used to be a framer, so this is a picture framer. This is one thing we used to always do, is matting our photos, our pictures. And I decided that I really like the blue up front and just a little bit of the red showing. So that is how I'm going to cut my cardstock. So the blue is cut 7 7/8, and the 8 I believe is cut, the red is cut to be 8 1/8. I'm going to go through and I'm going to add a few more jewels on this just to give it a little more pop of color. And I use the red jewels and my crystal catania. And again, please go to my blog post. I will have all of the products linked for you. And I love my crystal catania. I hope you've liked this. I hope the home decor pieces inspire you. You can even make, 5 by bigger cards, 5 by 7, and cut them down. You can do a lot of different things with these Mega Wreath Builder and this Memory Misti. The final thing I'm doing is putting glossy accents in the centers. And I don't know about you, but I tend to get bubbles. So I go real slow and I make sure I'm constantly squeezing it as it comes out. And this particular card, I was very fortunate and I had no bubbles. So thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time.